Welcome to the Team Real World Radio Show on 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
My name is Maurice Velasquez.
And I'm John Shirk.
And we are
Team Real World.
All right. This radio show is where we discuss all things business, management, leadership, sales,
Oh, yes.
and team dynamics. Our slogan is simple: real problems, real solutions,
Really fun.
really fun. Our website is www.teamrealworld.com, and our phone number is 225-772-4357. You can find us on Facebook. Simply type in Team Real World. Today we have a really great show.
Yes, we do.
It is part 2 of becoming an excellent manager.
Yes.
For those of you that are not managers, for example, business owners, basically the way we encourage you to hear this show is how to help your managers become excellent leaders.
Yes.
At the end of the day, executives, business owners, that's your biggest challenge.
Oh, yeah.
Your biggest challenge is your management team, but it's also your biggest resource.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we talk to business owners all the time, and their biggest dream is that they could actually get away for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But they feel they'd have no one to hand this thing to, and it's going to fall apart if they're not there.
Right. I just 2 weeks ago, meeting with an owner, and I was telling him about the program, about our management excellence program. And he said, "No, I think I have a good feel for my managers." Yeah, I said, "Excellent, that's great." I said, "So do you feel that on a regular basis your management team is providing you reports of what's going on across the company?" He said, "Yeah, I think generally they are." I said, "And you feel that they're able to come together and fix problems, and they have good follow through, and they're able to align well with each other?" And as soon as I started asking those questions, his you could just tell his. Okay. See, the first question was easy. Are they providing you good reports?
Yeah.
Because probably what he's doing, he's getting reports from IT.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
But then when I started saying, so how are they as far as their follow through, their meeting on a regular basis together? How good are your meetings with them? Are they meeting without you? And bring us, his eyes just started like, no, that's not happening.
Yeah.
And I said, well, kind of just looked at him, and he said, when is this workshop? I said, end of the month.
Yeah.
And so he's planning on coming. But that's where the problems lie. If you ask the same questions to staff members, that's their issue.
Mm-hmm.
Their issue is, man, I love the company, but my management team is just, they're hard. They're hard to work with,
Yeah.
And so you lose a lot of dynamics because your management team is not well polished with each other. They're not working well together.
And there's a whole intangible thing that doesn't come to an owner that wants it, of just going home and being able to sleep well and knowing I'm not the only one here who gets it.
Right. So in our last show, we covered the 5 steps of how to become excellent managers. In this show, we're going to expound on them and cover more for each one. But the 5 steps is tapping down. And what you're tapping down to as managers is to go and identify problems, issues, ideas.
Yep.
Then the second step is tap into yourself. And what you want to focus is the 3 areas of your organization, your time management, okay, because you have to spend at least 30 to 40% of your management skills and your management time, of your time managing.
Right.
Okay. If you're spending less than 30% of your time managing as opposed to getting out there and rolling up your sleeves, then you're probably not doing a good job.
Right. You might be getting stuck just as a glorified frontliner.
And then the third thing when you're tapping to yourself is your game plan. Do you have a game plan, a 90-day game plan, which you revisit every 30 days?
Yes.
So those are the 3 things. The third step is being able to tap across to your other team members. So if you're the manager of marketing, are you able to talk to the engineers? Engineers, you're talking to production. Production, are you talking to sales? Sales, you're talking to accounting. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If those team members, those managers are not talking to each other on a regular basis, and by regular basis, we are talking at least once a week, okay, in a good, functional, productive meeting to create alignment across the departments, then that's where the breakdown is.
Yes.
And so the 3 things you want to create in those in that phase, at that tap across, is number 1 is regularity, consistency. Okay.
Yep.
The second thing you want to look for is alignment.
Yes.
What are the things we need to be aligned on? And then third, kind of like the second step, is a game plan.
Yeah.
What's our game plan for addressing this? It should sound something along the lines, okay, so on this project that we're working on right now, sales and marketing, you guys got that, and you guys will have a proposal for us that can look at by the end of June, right? Okay, so where are we on this issue? So you can delegate there, and then you can say, all right, but guys, regarding regarding the issues that we have across all departments. For example, it could be something as simple as a dress code to an issue of adherence of anything inside the company. That kind of conversation should happen on a regular basis in those level 3, tap 3 meetings.
Right.
Okay. Tap 4, because we call it a tapping dance, a tap dance. Tap 4 is when the managers effectively, when they then take the next step up, they go upwards. Okay, and that is when they present proposals. Okay, when they present proposals, recommendations, and reports.
Yes.
Okay, so a proposal is usually a more formal thing. A recommendation is more informal.
Yeah.
Okay, and then a report ought to be more formal than informal.
Sure.
So if managers are not doing those 3 things, then executives often find themselves not knowing what's happening. And then the executives then have to go and dig down where they shouldn't have to.
Right.
The manager should be the ones that are proactively taking these steps, right?
Right.
So that people aren't sitting there going, oh, what's going on around here, as opposed to seeing that, wow, these managers are in a rhythm of communication.
And we commonly will say during this step that feel the difference between a manager who is proactively proposing and reporting up and a manager who's just saying to the executive over them, hey, is there anything you want me to do?
Correct.
I'm
Correct.
I'll show up whenever you want.
That's right. And then the 5th step is probably the one that executives just want to see this happen. And oftentimes executives they feel like the company doesn't believe them that they want to see this happen, and that is decisions. When you tap up to make proposals, recommendations, and your reporting, then you want to be able to move into the tap 5, and that is when it comes back down with an approval. The 3 things you want to make sure that you strive for in this phase is 1, action, okay, or decision. You could say, do we have an action?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a game plan? Do we have a decision on this? Okay, number 2, implementation. Those are 2 different things. One of them is to get a green light. The other one is to actually put your foot on the pedal and actually get it done.
Yeah.
Then the 3rd thing, this would just falls off the card all the time. Celebration.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. If we implemented it, are we tracking it? Are we celebrating it? Are we reporting it back up? Are we reporting it back down?
Right.
Are we rewarding? Are we recognizing? Are we saying woohoo? You know what I'm saying? Or are we fixing it? Are we, you know what I'm saying? Can we adjust it? And so those 5 steps, those 5 processes, if you will,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Those 5, the 5-step tap dance that we call it. Those are the steps that managers need to habitually, on a regular basis, get accustomed. Okay. Now, the rest of the show, when we come back from our break, we'll get into issues such as what are some of the challenges and some of the things that make it possible or that are going to work against you.
Right.
One of them is this whole thing of generational gap.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is probably one of the biggest, toughest things right now, because we have so many different groups of ages that are different.
Right.
You know, and they're all competing against each other in the marketplace.
And there's never been a time in the history of the world when there's been such substantial cultural differences between generations.
Well, yeah, and if you don't understand the group that's coming up, meaning the ones that have graduated from college in the last 7-10 years, and the ones who are graduating right now. Okay, so some would even go say as far as this: if you don't understand the folks born after 1990, you know, and those up to, then you're missing a great element of the pressure points that you're getting as managers, because those are the people that you're going to be managing or you're already managing. And then how do you do that when you have employees that are 56 years old?
Right. On the same team.
On the same team.
Right.
In the same department, 3 cubicles away from each other. And then the guys that are 36 years old. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
This is tough stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So, we'll talk about the millennials. I just gave it up. That's all right.
Yeah.
Come on back. We'll talk about the millennials. We'll also talk about the personality aspect. All right. And then we'll get into the details of what it means to propose up. What does it mean to bring an idea all the way through to the end by dissecting these steps a little more at a time?
Yeah. And we'll talk some. There are 3 languages that get spoken in those 3 levels. There's the executives speak one language, managers speak one language, and frontliners speak one language, and they're not the same. And because everyone is actually using English ostensibly, there's not a realization that a miscommunication is happening.
Right. The managers are the ones who need to become the good translators.
Absolutely.
And they're the ones who ought to never submarine the other guy.
That's right.
If anything, the middle managers are the ones that should be the ones shot by both sides.
That's right.
Let's start with that on the way back. What does it mean to be a leader as a manager? How not to submarine. Well, no, I think it's probably easier for us to show you how to submarine.
Yeah.
So we can then tell you, don't do that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll come back after the break. Thank you for joining us here on Talk 107.3 FM. This is Team Real World.
WBRP.
But if you try sometime, you just might find you get what you need. Oh, yeah. Hey, where did we go? Days when the rains came.
Welcome back to the Team Real World Radio Show, where we discuss real problems with real solutions and we make it
Really fun.
all right. Thank you guys for joining us back. I am thankful, John, that we are in management consulting and training,
I am too.
because as dancers, we would starve. I love
for
the
yourself.
song. Well, no, I was speaking for both of us. It's one thing to hear a great song and then just look over across and go, we have no idea how to do this. But we do have a five tap dance for managers to become excellent leaders. That was a good segue.
Yeah, very
That was a
good.
good segue. All right.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about probably one of the bigger challenges that we face as managers, and that is our audience.
Yeah.
Our audience comes with different personalities, which is why we base everything that we do and everything that we encourage you to adopt as excellent, to become excellent managers, better, even be better team members, better executives, better leaders, is the whole discipline of personality alignment.
Yes.
And we do that by encouraging, motivating, promoting, really fostering what we call a DISC environment.
Yeah.
An environment where a certain conversation can take place that validates the various different personalities, and it only comes if people become comfortable with a tool that we believe to be tremendously powerful, which is the DISC program.
Yeah.
So we'll cover that. We've covered that in other programs. We'll cover that here a little later because that has everything to do with your audience. If you don't understand your audience, that your audience comes with different personalities, different expectations, different approaches, then you're going to be talking Spanish to a French crowd.
That's right.
You know,
Yeah.
I would even say a Japanese crowd because
Yeah.
at least Spanish and English, Spanish and French are similar, but you'd be
Right.
talking totally
You
different
get D's and
language.
S's, it's like
Oh.
humans and Martians. That's,
Yeah, and it's funny you were laughing about me that when Maurice talks, this person over here they barely
yeah.
hear three words, and it's true.
Yeah.
Because there's certain personalities that when they talk, the other personalities know nothing is about to be said. I mean, so I'm just not going to listen.
Yeah.
And then the other person turns back around and says, when that person talks, I have no idea what they're talking about because they say too much.
Right.
So
Right.
too many details.
Right.
What they told Amadeus, too many notes. Too many notes. Your Majesty, what notes would you like me to take out? All right, so let's talk about the dynamic that I think it's interesting in our culture because, as you said, previous to the prior break, before the segment, is that we're facing something in our culture, in our workplace environment, that is unique to any time in history. Okay, you want to expand a little bit on that?
Well,
And
yeah. I mean, if we go back hundreds of years, the cultural gap, and a lot of this is driven by the growth in technology, but the cultural gap from one generation to the next was really not that substantial. Now, there could be, if you're in the generation in which the French Revolution happened, or there's some massive
Right.
event, then there's going to be a gap there. But what's happening in the 21st century is that the way communication works, the way people adapt to technology, that growth curve is so intense right now that every generation is that gap gets bigger and bigger with each generation, and the values track with that. The cultural attitudes track with that. The gaps get bigger and bigger, and if we're not aware of that, we're just having more and more blind spots.
Yeah, and so a way that a friend of mine put it recently is, how do you manage a team that you have some team members who are, you could say, old school, who function better in paper pads?
Yeah.
Okay, the
Yeah.
old pen
Yeah,
and
I
pen.
know where you're going.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yep.
All right, and then they're working with team members. So this first group, they're not very comfortable with the computer, with a personal computer.
Right.
Okay. Then you have other folks that are closer to around the age of 21, 22, who likewise have never even owned a personal computer.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because they've skipped all that and now they function perfectly fine on an iPhone.
Yeah.
And the ones in the middle are the ones that remember DOS.
Yeah, that's right. Floppy disk.
It's our floppy
Yeah,
disk.
yeah.
And yet everybody's sitting going, now, where's the hard drive?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you get this whole technological thing called, attachments or not attachment, new version
Right.
of Windows. Everybody, okay, the technology challenge, but how we've learned over the years. There's some studies say that up to 7 different generations in the next 15 years will be found in the workplace. Right now,
Wow.
there's about 4 major ones. The 2 biggest ones are the older crowd and then the younger crowd, which is the baby boomers, okay, and the millennials. We're going to play a clip here to explain a little bit what the millennials are. But that's what the challenge is right now because of what happened in 2008 with the economy and our economy becoming tremendously tight, imploding in a lot of ways. A lot of the baby boomers said what? I'm going back to work.
Yeah.
Or I'm not retiring.
Right.
Well, guess what happened to all those jobs?
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't open. And so
right.
you have a lot of millennials trying to get in there, and the competition is fierce. And then how do you manage through all that? Are we ready for that clip? Let's talk a little bit about the millennials, okay? About a minute and a half clip on what millennials are and how they think. Let's play it.
Too, with their life and their career. But Tim Urban, who is an entrepreneur and co-founder of the popular blog Wait But Why, coined a term for this group. He calls them gypsies, which he says stands for Generation Y, protagonists, and special yuppies. He explained to Yahoo Finance why he thinks that this group of 80 million strong is badly in need of a serious reality check.
It's just a group of very anxious, angsty, fairly disappointed people. I think that everyone expects to do better than their parents. I think people expect their kids to do better than they did. That's just kind of how things have trended. And the problem is the baby boomers did very well in a very prosperous economy. So now we get to a stage when to do better than prosperous people, you have to do something better than just security and wealth. You have to be famous, you have to be recognized and appreciated and do something groundbreaking and make your mark in a very special way.
Now, he went on to say that this group of so-called gypsies have insanely ambitious goals while facing a struggling job market, and that is not creating a healthy outlook for them. He said expectations that the millennials have of themselves is wildly off, and some type of recalibration or reality check is in order.
Wow, the whole report goes on for about 6 minutes. It's really good.
Yeah.
But we captured what was the most important part. These are young folks.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to peg them. They're out there in the age of 23. Okay, who have, he used the word wild expectations, but they have very high expectations of themselves, of being able to make a mark, hit a mark, and get the recognition for that mark in extremely fast time frames.
Yeah.
In other words, they are the video crowd, the video games crowd. I mean, they're not the only ones. I remember growing up playing video games,
Sure.
okay? But not to the degree that the millennials have.
Yeah.
Their sense of recognition, their sense of accomplishment, they want to accomplish things tremendously fast. Now, is that wrong?
No, not by nature.
No. But is that realistic?
That's the question.
Okay, that's what
Yeah.
the analysts were saying, is that the realistic expectation of what that is then becomes a shock factor of disappointment.
Right.
So they go into companies expecting way more, okay, than what than what's possibly achievable. But then managers who are not very well engaged with their people prove it to them that it's not going to be achievable.
Yeah.
Because the managers are not very well connected.
Yeah.
So it doesn't take millennials long to be at a job for 30 days. They'll start telling you what needs to happen around here.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Millennials are very
Yeah.
snap, bam, 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 bam. This needs to happen and this needs to happen. Managers are like, look, kid,
Yeah.
look, son.
It is taken very, and sometimes it is, but sometimes not, taken very much as disrespect.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Now, yes, the millennials could learn and a little bit about knowing how to properly
Right.
bring up issues.
Uh-huh.
But therein lies the problem of managers. It's not so much that managers, it's not so much that they shouldn't, it's not that they shouldn't expect millennials or new employees to know how to bring up issues, is that they haven't taught their people how to bring up issues.
Right.
Okay.
And in light of no training in how to bring them up, they just bring them up.
Right. So imagine if you had a TV show. Let's use this scenario, okay? Imagine if you had a TV show, a talk show. Let's just say you and I had a talk show, right?
Yeah.
And we had 20 employees, all right? And everybody has to come to work, and everybody has to walk through the front door, the back door. Let's say there's a back door for employees, and so all the employees walk through the back door. So of course they're going to walk through a hall, okay? All right. And in that hall, on the right hand side, there is a wall with a title that says "Wall of Improvements."
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And then on the left hand side, we call it wall of, what do you want to call it? Jokes?
Sure.
Or no, wall, right hand side, wall of improvements. On the left hand side, wall of fun stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. And what if we had a game like this? You put ideas up there. Every Thursday we pull them down, and next week we tell you which ones we're going to implement.
Yeah.
What would that do?
Oh, it would be fantastic.
It'd be fantastic.
Yes.
Now, how to go about doing all that. That's just one
Right.
of many ways in which to engage people. All right.
Yes.
But the whole idea is you have to be able to tap into people.
Yep.
The challenge is, especially with the millennials on one end and the baby boomers on the other, that are very much demanding action. Managers, you can't let your fear hold you back.
That's right.
It's all about get it done. Tap in. Come back from this next segment on Team Real World 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
I say no, you say stop, but I say go, go, go.
Welcome back to the Team Real World. I can't do this. Welcome back to the Team Real World radio show, where we discuss how lame our songs obviously are.
Yeah, according to our producer.
Our producer's going, dude, come on.
See, we keep telling our producer Trey that we are very hip and groovy, but
And then he
is
just
not
hangs his
buying
head
it.
and said, did you guys really use the word groovy? Please
Yeah.
tell me you didn't say groovy. Our saving grace is that we're actually probably good at management training.
That's right.
Don't hire us for our DJ capabilities.
That's right.
You'll be
Unless-
hearing Rolling Stones and Pink Floyd and
That's
early
right.
Beatles.
Cream. That's right.
All right, this is the show where we talk about real problems, real solutions, and make it really fun.
That's it.
All right, so you can find us on Facebook and our website, www.teamrealworld.com.
Yes.
All right, so we have 2 segments left, and we really have enjoyed, outlining this for you, and hopefully this is helping you guys dissect more what it means to be a great manager. So we talked about the 5 steps. Then we talked about the challenges that we have with different generational gaps in the marketplace, the need to have to develop good people skills with a program like DISC.
Yep.
All right. And then let's move into, all right, how to bring it home. Okay.
Right.
It has to do everything with the ability to communicate.
Yes.
Would you?
Absolutely.
Because all we're talking about, when you tap into the frontliner, when you tap down, what are you doing by tapping down?
Yes.
You're having a conversation.
Yep.
Right? And then you're collecting feedback. Then you sit down, step number 2, and you basically prioritize what it is you're going to bring to other team members. And then you have a conversation with your team members, other managers, and then you have a conversation with the executives. The executives make a decision, and you guys make a decision about what to roll things out. It's a communication. It's a dialogue, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes what gets lost in it is that we talk, of course, in different styles, but we're not using the right language, and we're not bringing things together into what we would call effective rhythm meetings. Okay, so we'll that's what we're gonna layer out with you in this session, in the following section. So let's spend a little time about this whole issue of languages.
Right.
Go ahead, John.
So in any organization that's got at least 3 levels, and let's just say that there's one level where there's frontliners, and these are the people with their hands on the work. They've got wrenches in their hands and they're creating value.
The staff. Yeah.
They're the ones who are producing whatever it is that's getting sold. The next layer up are the managers. These are the people who are overseeing this work. And then the layer on top are the executives. Okay. Now, each of these, because of the nature of their role, begin to speak a certain kind of language. The executive language is dollars. Executives think about taking some money and turning it into more money. That's
Right there. Managers, I'm sorry. John, may I interrupt?
please.
Okay. Right there. Managers, this is where oftentimes we lose 90% of our battles.
Oh.
We bring ideas, we bring problems, we bring reports, and they are filled with commentary. They're filled with words.
Yep.
At the end of the day, executives speak in terms of
Money.
dollars.
ROI.
$1 has got to make another dollar, or $1 has to save me another dollar.
Yep.
You put one rabbit, you put another rabbit. I expect little rabbits.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it.
If I throw $10 at this, and how much time will I see increased revenue, right?
That's right.
Higher productivity, or efficient work, or expenses cut.
That's right.
Okay. But at
Exactly.
the end of the day, it has to be interpreted in money. So when you make proposals, your proposal writing, your presentation has to be very well packaged in a business case as to why it ought to be done. That's the language of the executives.
Right. So the language of managers are what we would call ratios. A manager has to get a certain amount of work done. And so they have, everybody has a work unit who's a manager. Let's say I run a shipping company and I have a certain number of deliveries per week. Each delivery is 1 unit of work. And I have a number of them I get done in a week, so I can calculate how many hours it takes me to produce a delivery. That units of work over time and units of work over money are the basic ratios that managers have to understand.
All right, so managers, hear what he's saying. I think it's important to differentiate. The executives speak in terms of dollars.
Yes.
Managers ought to be speaking in terms of metrics.
Right.
Measuring. So think about your everyday work, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Okay, how much time do you spend measuring performance?
Yes.
Okay, if you don't, then you're probably are so caught up with the actual work that you're not managing the work.
Right.
So therefore, you're not able to measure. You're not going to be able to reward.
Right.
You're not going to be able to coach. You're not going to be able to train. You're not going to be able to discipline. You're not going to be able to build teams around it because you're not keeping up with what's actually happening.
Right. There's no way to measure the performance.
That's right. So the language of managers has to be one of metrics and gauging where the performance at.
Exactly. And then the frontliners, their language is just, how do I do the work? It's processes. If I'm going to do a delivery, what's involved in how do I put the stuff in my truck? How do I find the place I'm supposed to go to? How do I get the signature I'm supposed to get when I get there? How do I make decisions about how to put fuel and maintenance on my truck? How?
Yeah,
That's,
the how is so important.
yes.
Okay, don't just tell me what to do.
Right.
Okay, if you need me to do it and you have an idea of how you want it done, then yeah, show me.
Right.
Now, once you've shown me how, the next time you tell me, don't tell me how again. Tell me what.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In other words, empower, train them.
Right.
Because what staff members regularly need is ongoing training on the how.
Right.
So you need to be speaking with them in terms of how.
Right. So let's say each of these well, not let's say, it is the case in every company I have ever worked with that has these 3 layers. The executives are thinking in terms of dollars. The managers are thinking in terms of these measurements. And the frontliners are thinking in terms of how do I do it? So when a problem wants to get addressed, if it doesn't flow through those 3 layers and the languages gets translated one to the other, something like this happens. An executive says, I'm going to solve this problem because I'm going to put $8 million against it. Well, by not
I'm
tapping down,
going to fix that issue by throwing money at it.
Exactly. This is the same issue we see in government as well, but
Correct.
It's another topic.
Correct.
But when you just throw money at it, it's because an executive who's thinking dollars is not tapping down.
Because they probably haven't spent enough time with their managers, and those managers haven't spent enough time with their people to figure out what their real problems are.
Right.
So therefore, they want to fix something, so their best resource at that point is money.
Exactly. That's really their only resource.
That's true.
Because
That's true.
If they want to move to execution fast, and they have not gotten a report from their managers
Throw
as
money
to
at
what's
it.
involved, and no manager has tapped into what's really going on the front line, all there is to do is write a big check.
That's right. That's right.
So, and we talked during the break about a story of one of our consultants shared with us of a company where $8 million got spent from an executive level to solve a problem that actually, once it got implemented, it was a production line and he used a waiting system, an alarm went off. Once it got implemented, the alarm was a frustration to a frontliner, and it turned out it was actually a $20 solution.
Shocking. That was shocking. How much money did they spend on it?
$8 million.
$8 million, only to find out that a frontliner, had he known earlier that this is
Right.
what they wanted to fix, he was fixing it with a $20 solution. And the $20 solution was a long-lasting solution.
Perfect. It worked
wasn't
just
like
fine.
just a Band-Aid thing. It
Right.
actually worked.
Right.
It was the actual solution that should have been implemented.
That communication disconnect cost that company $8 million.
Yeah, that happens all the time. That happens
really
all the
does.
time.
It really does.
It does. Where's the breakdown? There's not a good communication system. Let's bring it boil it down to a much more simple. Let's simplify this, okay? Let's simplify it. The reason why this breakdown happens is because managers, because they're not tapping down and they don't have at least one meeting a week or one meeting a month to go discuss problems, ideas, and possible solutions on a regular basis. So there's not a boilerplate of innovation.
Right. Right.
Yeah?
Right.
Because the conversation's not happening. One manager is having that boiler room of innovation within their own head.
Right.
They're not tapping down. They're not tapping across. So what happens to ideas? What happens to the issues? What happens to problems? They really fall apart.
Yeah.
Okay. When we come back on our next segment, okay, which will be our last segment, we're going to talk a little bit about just the importance of what it means to protect this whole issue of ideas.
Yes.
And that this is the essence, as we've been talking about, to kind of put a bookend on at the end of our second show here on this topic, is the managers can do something about being able to protect this environment and this culture of communication, of innovation, of problem solving. This is what it means to create a thriving culture.
Yeah.
A culture where people can bring up ideas, bring up problems, and it actually goes somewhere.
Sure.
It takes time, but everything that's worth fighting for takes time.
Yep.
Okay. So come back on the fourth segment and join us on the back end of our show today. You're listening to Team Real World on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
Is that a better song?
I don't know. What do you think, Trey? Is that a better song?
All
we got
right.
thumbs
All
up.
right.
She really wanna, but can't stand to see me walk out the door. Don't try to fight the feeling, 'cause the thought alone is killing me right now. Thank God for mom and dad for sticking to dad for sticking to.
She asked me, son, when I grow old, will you buy me a house of gold? And when
Welcome
your
back to the
father
Team Real World radio show, where we discuss real problems, real solutions, and we make it
Really fun.
You're listening to us on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP.
It is a pleasure to work with the team at Guarantee Group.
Absolutely.
At 107.3. Great company.
Yes.
Great company. All
Yes.
right. So appreciate you guys very much over there at Guarantee and all the work that you guys do. Reaching out to all of our listening audience. Good to be with you guys. Hope you guys have enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Big question here. How do you put all this together? Okay, we've said a lot, and we've tried to not make it complicated, all right? Because we talked about the 5 steps, the 5 taps, okay?
Yep.
Tap down, tap into yourself, tap across, tap up, And then we'll come back down with some solutions,
Yep.
implementations, and celebrate accomplishments. Correct?
Yep.
All right. Then we talked about the challenges of understanding your audience, understanding that your people have different personalities, decision-making styles, and that you're also now going to be facing with multi-generational people that you're going to have to tap into. At the end of the day, they're all looking for results.
Yeah.
They're wanting to leave their mark in society. They're wanting to leave a mark in their resumes, in their professional, and they want to have an impact on their well-being. So financially, they need to grow. They need
Right.
to be able to take care of their dreams, their aspirations, their goals and desires, right?
Absolutely.
And so what helps them to accomplish that is an environment where things can happen, where ideas go somewhere, where problems can be addressed, where solutions can be discussed, correct?
Correct.
In an environment where that's welcomed. All right. How do you do all that?
Good question. Well, we'll see you next week, everybody.
Thank
I
you
don't
guys
know
for coming
what,
back.
Good luck to y'all.
Oh, look, there's about 12 books we need you guys to go read. Okay. All right. Look. What we're going to do here is we're going to let the master speak for himself.
Good idea.
Okay,
Good
we're
idea.
gonna we've learned from the master, and we want to help you let his voice speak to us here. All right, so we're gonna tap into Mr. Steve Jobs, and he's going to explain to us how it is that he did it, and how it is that every company that he went to, especially at Apple, okay, how it is that he accomplished this wondrous task. Mr. Steve Jobs.
That's what we do really well. And we're great at figuring out how to divide things up into these great teams that we have and all work on the same thing, touch bases frequently, and bring it all together into a product. We do that really well. And so what I do all day is meet with teams of people and work on ideas and solve problems to make new products, to make new marketing programs, whatever it is.
And are people willing to tell you you're wrong?
Yeah.
I mean, other than snarky journalists. I mean, people that
Oh,
work for you.
yeah. No, we have wonderful arguments.
And do you win them all? Or?
Oh, no, I wish I did. No, see, you can't. If you want to hire great people and have them stay working for you, you have to let them make a lot of decisions, and you have to be run by ideas, not hierarchy. The best ideas have to win.
So-
Otherwise, good people don't stay.
But you must be more than a facilitator who runs meetings. You obviously contribute your own ideas.
I contribute ideas, sure. Well, why would I be there if I didn't?
Did you hear that?
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many golden phrases and comments there when the reporter asked him, he says, yeah, but you must be more than just a facilitator of good meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, why did he ask him that? Because that's what he did.
Yeah.
Okay, he said what I do, because he was speaking not as an executive. He was in the context of the conversation he was having with the reporter there. He was talking in how to manage people and how to manage teams. He was saying, I, as a manager, I go from meeting to meeting, and we meet on a what? Regular, frequent basis.
Yep.
Where we discuss, we get on the same page, and we discuss all aspects of the business, and we come up with good products, good decisions, good implementation.
Yep.
All right, and that's when the reporter asked him, yeah, but are people willing to tell you you're wrong? I loved his answer. Well, yeah. You got to be willing to have good, I mean, he hesitated, good arguments, good fights, okay? That is the essence of excellent management.
Yep.
Is managers, are you able to create, facilitate, and foster ongoing good meetings where ideas can be discussed, where ideas can be debated, where ideas can be challenged, ideas refined, and eventually executed, either killed, tabled, or implemented.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to tap down on a regular basis and have good regular, and by regular we mean what? Weekly.
Yeah.
Are you able to tap down and weekly have good meetings with your team members? Are you then able to sit down and plan the next step of meetings with your other department managers? And are you then able to keep that rhythm of good meetings with your executive sponsors?
Yep.
To move things up and then come right back down and repeat the whole process over and over again.
That's exactly right. And you know what came to my mind is Maurice and I both have such an appreciation for Steve Jobs, and it's clear that Apple misses him these days too.
Yeah.
But realize that what's being asked of Steve in this interview is what makes Apple great, and remember, at the time that this interview was happening, Steve was coming down to the end of his life, and at that point, he had taken Apple to being the second most valuable company on earth. Only Exxon was, if you take the total number of stocks times the total dollar per stock, that value, it was the second most valuable, more than Walmart, more than McDonald's.
Keep in mind, after having been fired by that company.
That's right.
Okay,
That's
and then
right.
him proving his leadership in other companies, a little small outfit called Pixar.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then being hired back to save the company, turning that thing back around, using the same principles and communication decision-making processes that he used before he got fired.
Yep.
And then he simply said, hey, guys, we got to get back to doing what we do best, what works. And it wasn't the technology, it was being able to work as a team.
It's being able to create a kind of collaboration in which the very best ideas rise to the top, regardless of whose ideas they are.
That's right. And so this level of teamwork, this level of communication, this level of interaction and productive collaboration is what every staff member, whether baby boomers, whether millennials, that's what they long for in the company that they get hired for.
Yeah.
And if managers provide this level of communication, people, by and large, let's just simply say way up there in the top 90% of the people, 95%, they will engage.
Yeah.
Why? Because there's an engagement ability, that there's a game being played here.
Yeah.
And that game is ideas.
Yep.
Okay? Communication, problem solving. So that's something that staff members long for. Owners, man, they wish for.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? What we want to encourage all managers out there is we're saying is that it's possible.
Right. Right.
We want to expand every one of our listeners' horizons and say this is doable.
Yes.
Okay? But you have to look at it for what it's worth. It's doable in short segments over a long period of time. You're not talking about running a half a mile race. You're talking about developing people, developing process, and developing a team that produces short-term and long-term. And it only works if you think long-term.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking, I'm going to send my managers to a 2-day workshop in Atlanta, and they're going to come back and they're going to be able to turn this thing around, it's not going to happen.
Right.
Okay? The only way it happens is if together they go off on a retreat, okay, for about 2 days, okay, or a training workshop for 2 days, and come to terms and agreement what our long-term plan is and what our long-term approach is going to be.
Right.
How are we going to implement this? How are we going to implement this weekly rhythm of communication? All right. Come back after those 2 days, okay, take a week breather, catch up with all emails, and then each one of those same team members meet on a regular basis. And what we say is the magic formula is this: 2 hours every week.
Yep.
If it's any less, it usually doesn't work.
Yeah.
If it's any more, it's because it's not working.
Yeah.
And if your middle managers are able to learn how to have those effective meetings, like Steve Jobs said, what happens? Your good people stay.
Yes.
Ideas flourish.
Yep.
Okay. And everyone becomes validated. Only those few that don't want to play along, listen, the process will take care of it.
Yeah.
All right,
True.
because as managers, you will quickly be able to see through everybody's attitude and performance who is jumping on the bandwagon and who is not.
Yeah.
So if you've been hearing for the past 2 shows, this last show and this show, listen to it again to get a good bird's eye view of Team Real World's management program. All right, contact us. First of all, listen to these 2 shows with your team.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
Contact us. Come to our workshops where we spend more time and let us help you out in your company how to get this rhythm going. And within 6 months, actually for 6 weeks, you're going to start seeing results.
That's right.
Man, if you can get to 6 months doing this, what's possible, John?
That's right. You can everything.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
key is removing the complication out of it. All right?
That's right.
Thank you guys for joining us. It's been great being with you in this show. Come back next week for another show with Team Real World. And remember, you're listening to us on Talk 107.3 FM.
WBRP. Have a great Sunday.